Hi, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had to go put my beautiful daughter to bed.
Indeed. All right.
Now we are back
We
with
are.
the next match.
Okay, so Bayley versus Evans. I forget Evans' first
Lacey
name.
Evans.
Lacey Evans. Bayley's a heel.
I love it.
I love heel Bayley.
I never knew I wanted heel Bayley until there was heel Bayley.
I know.
It was like when someone told me about putting ketchup on my scrambled eggs. I never
It's
knew I wanted
amazing.
that until somebody did that, and it was like, oh my God, I need more of this in my life.
Exactly. It's like the heel run we always wanted for Cena that he never got.
Yeah.
I
wish he would.
fantasy booked like years ago what a heel run would look like for Bayley.
Okay.
And it's nothing. Well, I guess I don't know what the run is, but the character isn't like what I thought it would be. But I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like her, whatever that thing was, her getup she was wearing on the way in.
It was almost like a tiara, but instead of like going up like a crown, it went down like a necklace sort of looking thing. I don't know what to call it.
I don't know.
It's really cool though.
It was kind of elegant looking though. It was cool.
Go
And
watch
her,
the pay-per-view.
Her eye makeup was all swoopy and cool looking.
Almost reminiscent a little bit of kind of what you'd see as Egyptian. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was really cool.
I really like heel Bayley.
How would you describe her personality? Because I'm having a very hard time putting it into words.
It looks a little bit stoish. Stoish?
Stoic-ish.
So stoic and impish.
Okay.
A little bit depressed, honestly.
Sure.
A little bit like
But
she's
not emo somehow.
Not emo somehow, yeah. And that's a weird line to be walking on. She looks like she would listen to like early Panic at the Disco, though.
See, I could see her listening to something more along the lines of like V&V Nation or what's another good one from that era? Well, if you want to go back a bit even more, 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
That early like IDM type music.
She looks like a 9 Inch Nails chick. She really does. We didn't get to see a finisher out of her. I really wonder if she's gotten a new one. One of her biggest weak spots for me has always been that Bayley to belly. I think it's a terrible finisher.
Sure.
I have always wanted her doing something a little more stunnery. A little bit, something that snaps a little bit more. Maybe some kind of DDT variant.
Okay.
I've always wanted something a little bit more like that out of her. Some kind of like chicken wing DDT or something.
Could you see her ever kind of signing on to a stable where Randy Orton mentors her and she kind of inherits a RKO-like thing?
The RKO is my favorite finisher of all time, and that includes Stone Cold's Stunner.
Well, yeah, the RKO was better.
Yeah, it's at least for me, it's the most over finisher in existence.
Yeah. Well, maybe except for the Tombstone.
For me, the RKO is better than the Tombstone. I will say that's probably not the general consensus, but for me,
I will put them on equal footing. Here's why. Taker could not pull the RKO.
Okay.
Randy could not pull the Tombstone.
Okay, fair.
They are both so signature, though. I think it is worth saying they are in that elite all-time tier.
Yeah.
Their finishers alone could go in the Hall of Fame. Wow, I got way too close to that microphone.
That's a good way to put it. If your finisher can go in the Hall of Fame all by itself, it's a good finisher.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think the Stunner could go in there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I adore Bayley. I would love for her to throw an RKO. That would be amazing.
It's a little fast for her gimmick right now. She isn't very...
She seems to work at a little bit of a slower pace.
Yeah, very heel-paced. Which brings me to my main point about it, is that it reminded me of an old-school, late 80s, 90s style. Now, I don't mean that their movesets were reminiscent of that time frame, but how the match was put together.
Yeah.
With it being very, very character-driven. They didn't rely a ton on athleticism or on spots, although those were there. They weren't front and center. They told a story, which was my big problem with the Roman Reigns King Corbin match, was they didn't.
Yeah.
This, I was very skeptical of when the match started. And by about 2-3 minutes in, we were both commenting about how hooked we were in the match and how invested we were getting. Great job to both of those superstars.
I bid on this match hard.
Yeah.
I don't know who this Lacey Evans is. She's got a really cool moveset, though. That handstand drop kick through the ropes thing she did.
Who used to do that?
Was
there was
really
someone
cool.
who used to do that.
I've never seen it.
I feel like it was in the mid-90s. I'll look it up, and I'll mention it next time.
It looks cool. Those handstand knees she's dropping.
Yeah.
Her moonsault looks good. I don't know if we got a finisher out of her.
I don't think so.
But I like her moveset. I don't think I like her gimmick very much. I don't like this Southern Belle. I can't tell if she's a heel or a face. It seems like a very heel gimmick to me.
It reminds me of the original Hunter Hearst Helmsley. When he was a blue blood
when he came out with
snob.
the cane. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was very reminiscent of that.
It screams heel.
It does. And I will say, because it really stuck out to me, for a Southern Belle gimmick, please come in with more clothing on. Like, being a Southern Belle is largely about being proper. And it has a certain etiquette to it. You could talk to it more than I could, as your wife's background is
Tennessee.
Yeah. So I do think it was a bit revealing for entrance attire. For ring attire, I think it was fine. But maybe some sort of a
like tearaway dress or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. The hat was cool. But again,
the gloves were pretty cool too. I liked that.
Yeah.
I liked how she went and put the hat on her daughter's head. That was very cool. And her daughter actually did have a bit of the storytelling in the match, which was pretty cool.
True. Well, and I love how Bayley was mouthing off to the kid too.
Yeah. Very much added to her
I love
heel.
I love heel Bayley. I need more heel Bayley in my life.
Bayley, please don't turn babyface anytime soon.
All right, so I've got a B grade on this match. I really liked it. I don't think it's match of the night. I think my A+ for the day goes to the Women's Rumble, but this is definitely above average, and I don't think it's a blow-off. I want to see more out of it, so I think this is a B, and I think they can build to an A in the future.
Sure. I actually gave it an A. I might be a little biased because I was so disappointed with the Roman match, and that was the previous one-on-one match.
Okay.
And I stopped watching WWE because they brought in all of these high flyers who were super technical, and nobody told a story. I actually quit watching because of that. If I want to watch pure athleticism, I'll watch pro sports. I don't watch WWE for athleticism. Obviously, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I watch it for storytelling.
That's fair.
And it can speak to something on a more noble level and a very primal level as well that I don't think many things can. And I really missed that. This really came and brought that back for me. So I do give it a higher grade. I do think they can maintain that high A level. I did not give it match of the night.
Yeah.
I think maybe to put it this way, there wasn't anything that absolutely blew me away. But there was no flaws with it either.
That's fair.
It was it wouldn't win if somebody walked out with that kind of GPA. It wouldn't get them valedictorian. But it would easily get them into college, and they might get some scholarships.
There you go.
All right. Now we're on to the Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan.
I am so curious what Bray's gimmick is.
Right?
Because in the package beforehand, we're seeing him talking without the mask in like a sweater or a cardigan or something.
Doing like a kid's show. I loved playing with Bryan.
Yeah, I So here's my theory. I'm sure we'll look into this before we do our next show, but this was kind of a cool exercise in coming in blind, and seeing what's changed over the past couple of years. My theory is that Bray might be a babyface when he doesn't have the mask on.
Yeah.
And when he puts the mask on, he goes into this kind of monster pseudo Undertaker heel, supernatural character.
Yeah. I can very much agree with that.
And that would be so cool because you can keep the Fiend unbeaten for so long.
Right.
Because even when he's got a belt, Bray, not the Fiend, can still drop the strap to somebody.
It's almost like what Finn Balor tried to do with the Demon.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love. And I love Finn Balor's Demon. And I love that story arc. But I feel like Bray Wyatt took that to the next level.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was that lantern Bray Wyatt's old head?
It looked like it. That's weird. But,
it was really cool.
Dude, you know what idea I just had?
What idea did you just have?
What if the mask can be passed to people?
Oh.
What a cool gimmick would that be if,
the next person has the head of the previous person?
Yeah, so, you pass let's take Roman. That's your favorite guy, right?
Sure.
He passes the Fiend mask to Roman. Roman is now the Fiend.
That would be so cool.
It's almost a pseudo title in and of itself. You have a run with the Fiend gimmick.
You would have. It's back in TNA Impact Wrestling, they did that with Suicide. Do you remember Suicide?
I don't.
He was a super high flyer, really amazing wrestler, but because he would do such high spots, people were constantly getting injured playing him. So they would rotate through the cast who was playing Suicide that taping cycle.
Oh, huh. That's a cool idea.
So that would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do it in the world of WWE, though, what you'd have to do is when you pass it on, it would have to morph a bit.
Yeah.
To
almost
the new character, too. The Fiend is a demon possession kind of a thing, but they also retain some of their old
moveset and persona a little bit.
Like Roman, right? Maybe he doesn't wear the stripy black and red pants, and he still keeps his battle vest.
Yeah,
something
or
like
maybe you even ramp up the militantness of it,
right?
And just make him vicious,
right?
Maybe if you put it on a character like a Corbin.
Ew! Please don't do that.
Well, maybe this is how you save Corbin. Maybe
you can't save Corbin like
maybe
that.
you make him the most sadistic person.
He already tries to be.
No, he tries to be the most boring person.
Well, he's very successful at that.
It's sadistic in that it bores me to tears and pain.
It's true.
A Baszler in the Fiend gimmick. That would be amazing.
It would be.
Anyway, enough fantasy booking. I guess the point is I can't wait to learn more about the Fiend.
Yeah, I agree.
So strap matches. You don't like strap matches.
That's very true. I remember when we were talking about this going into it, it was I was so disappointed that it was going to be a strap match, and I remember saying I haven't seen a good strap match in 30 years.
Yeah. Did that change?
Yes. Absolutely it changed. But not because of the strap. It was almost an afterthought in the match. There were a few times where it was used to great effect as a weapon, whether it be the lashings or when Daniel Bryan pulled him into the ring post.
Yeah.
That was a great use of it. But they had worked out the kinks so well that it wasn't clunky and awkward like it usually is.
Yeah, it almost got. There was one point in the match where
so wanted him to screw that up.
Oh yeah, that would have been amazing. Bryan goes to kind of roll the Fiend back in the ring and goes for the top rope and doesn't realize that the strap. So if here are the ring ropes, right? Fiend goes here. He doesn't realize that the strap is still wrapping up like this. Makes it halfway up the ring, realizes it, and then has to go back under and climb up the inside. It would have been hilarious if he had forgotten.
I wanted him to forget so hard, and I wanted it to be this thing where like he did this high flying thing, and obviously this is video game logic, but where like Bray Wyatt gets dragged out of the ring and he just like crashes and burns. Shoot,
That would have been amazing. Are we still good?
we're still good.
Slapping our equipment around.
I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Slower paced, but
Yeah.
you know, I think there was a good mix of different types of matches on this show. You know, this is a little more old school.
Yep.
Little more storytelling in this one. There were some spots, but nobody's being a spot monkey.
Yeah.
You know?
I completely agree. They let the story tell itself and be the center of attention rather than trying to grab the highlight reel.
Yeah.
And for me, it will go down as one of the best matches I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I think it actually tops, was it Undertaker and Shane at Hell in a Cell a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Despite Shane's insane jump off of the cage, despite that, I think this was a better match. It was better put together. It was better thought out, and it told a better story.
Yeah, there's a couple botchy moments.
Sure.
There's a Sister Abigail that they barely pulled off. Yeah. And then the finish, actually, it didn't look like Brian bumped that right.
Yeah, and that might be why they actually went home at that point.
Oh, you think?
I know that in that industry, when somebody gets injured, there is a signal they can give to end the match.
Yeah.
And
also,
that could have happened. It could have come from the ref. It could have come from Brian himself. I don't know. I didn't actually see it. I think I blinked. It came that fast. But, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's my 2 cents.
Nobody. So we defer to him on this. He did do some training for the Indies. He knows a little bit more than I do.
And by a little bit of training, I mean
inside.
I went out one day for a tryout, and that was it. So I've been in a ring.
Okay. Like you had a tryout, or you?
I actually made the tryout, but it was way down, like in Denver.
Okay, but you were training for it for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it wasn't like, hey, I've got one day.
No,
now I know stuff. You were training for it for a while.
Yeah, I had a friend who worked at the who worked for Primos Pro Wrestling, which is, or at least it was I don't know if it's still in existence. It was a professional wrestling company here in Colorado, and they worked out at the butcher shop down in Denver.
Yeah.
And I would train with him at his house. He was actually the guy who also trained me in Kali, which is a martial art subset of Filipino martial arts, and did some Japanese style martial arts with me as well. But
nice.
It ended up becoming more of a wrestling thing because we were such big wrestling buffs, and it's funner.
Nice.
I guess.
Indeed. But you know more about the kind of the inside of the industry than I do.
What I know is more of the how to do things myself and less in the way of how to call a match.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like
yeah.
I never actually went through the process of making a match. I went through the process of learning the very basics, how to bump, how to run the ropes, how to, throw a clothesline or a lariat or something like that.
Yeah, how to actually execute.
Right.
Okay, cool.
How to post up and make the suplexes from other people less taxing on them, for instance. How to work together in that respect. I will say my favorite part of this match, though, came after the match was over.
Okay. Which
when
part?
Daniel Bryan rolled his back to camera after the match was over, after Bray was out of the ring and gone, he was still selling the match.
Yeah.
I love his commitment to the character. I love his commitment to the storyline. That he's like walking out all shaky. And sure, he was probably a bit shaky. It's a huge physical exertion. And the amount of pain from that strap is no joke.
Yeah.
So he was probably
those were welting up.
He was probably loaded with adrenaline and a bit shaky and a bit dazed. But the fact that he had the presence of mind to roll his back to camera to show off his battle scars, and he had the moment in the ring where he was gaining a lot of strength in booking, really, back by they allowed him more time to recover and have his moment too, and celebrate the fact that it was not just Bray Wyatt's win. They put together a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
I would definitely give this a B+ or an A.
Yeah, I'm hanging right around B+, as well. I think I grade a little bit harder than you. That's what I've gotten so far.
Potentially.
But I guess we'll see if we keep this going. We should probably, I don't think we said who our picks were for Bayley versus Evans. We're bad
That's
at
fair.
this.
We'll get better, don't worry.
I had Bayley to win.
We both had Bayley.
And she won.
She won.
Points,
So we both got 5 points for that.
nice. And then
For Bray Wyatt versus
I had
Daniel Bryan.
Bray.
You won with Bray, and I lost because I picked Bryan. And that
Yeah.
turned out to be the difference in the night. So
Yeah, so congratulations me.
So we forgot to mention one other rule. At
Yes.
WrestleMania this year, because we're going to do this every pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to keep a running tally of the points. At WrestleMania, we are going to go out. Maybe to start, it's the cheap Walmart plastic belt. But we are actually going to get a belt, and whoever's leading in points that at the end of a pay-per-view gets the belt as if they won the championship belt.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually we could get
predictions.
a legit replica, but for now I think it'll be the shiny plastic.
I like
kids
it.
version.
It's who won. It's the fantasy belt.
Yeah.